Hello and welcome back to the well-read Monocle. Today, we are stepping into the atmospheric corridors of suburban and cosmic horror with a streamlined breakdown of Richard Chizmar's gripping 2024 novel, Memorials. Set during a sweltering May heatwave in 1983, this narrative transforms a simple student media project into a terrifying descent into generational secrets, occult rituals, and catastrophic supernatural forces. Section 1. The Project and the Players. The story centers on three York College students paired together for an American Studies elective instructed by the highly charismatic Professor Marcus Tyree. Our narrator is 19-year-old Billy Anderson, a grieving orphan trying to rebuild his life. Troy Carpenter, an exceptionally brilliant student, weighed down by intense academic anxiety and the childhood trauma of losing his younger brother. And Melody Wise, a mature senior who carries her own scars after discovering her mother's fatal drug overdose years prior. For their semester assignment, the trio proposes a documentary project entitled Roadside Memorials, a study of grief and remembrance. Armed with a borrowed Volkswagen camper van and a state-of-the-art video camera, they set out to travel the back roads of Pennsylvania, filming roadside shrines and interviewing surviving families to show that grief is a universal connective thread. Section 2. Ominous Beginnings. The journey begins under a dark shadow. Before leaving the town limits, the students encounter a blood-drenched man speeding past them on a bicycle who smiles with a macabre grin before vanishing into thin air, a distinct harbinger of the nightmare ahead. As they venture deeper into rural Pennsylvania, their initial attempts at filming yield unsettling results at decaying, wasp-infested shrines. Their first major breakthrough occurs outside Exeter, where they arrange an interview with Jennifer, the widow of a young man named Chase Harper. While photographing Chase's white roadside cross, Billy experiences an inexplicable ice-cold breath on his neck and the suffocating sensation of a hostile, unseen presence. During the interview, Jennifer confesses that she frequently feels her late husband's spirit manifest in the exact same way, confirming a terrifying thinness in the veil between the living and the dead. Section 3. Secrets of Sudbury. The trio next arrives in Sudbury, Billy's hometown. Here they stay with Billy's Aunt Helen, who raised him after his parents perished on a notorious stretch of roadway known as Dead Man's Road. While exploring the house, Billy is transfixed by an old photograph of his late Uncle Frank's championship basketball team, experiencing an unresolved mental itch regarding an unrecognized, short-haired teammate standing next to his uncle. Later that afternoon, the group films an introductory segment at the Anderson family memorial on Church Street, a road with a long, horrifying legacy of fatal accidents and bizarre disappearances. While filming, they are joined by a friendly local priest, Father Paul, and Billy unexpectedly runs into his high school sweetheart, Naomi Flynn. Naomi delivers an emotional interview about the town's collective mourning and ultimately decides to join their expanding road trip. Section 4. Unraveling the Geometric Code. As the travelers press into the Appalachian region, the documentary takes a sinister turn. At multiple, separate shrines across the state, the group discovers a recurring, unsettling geometric symbol carved into the wood or painted on surrounding rocks. The tension escalates dramatically as they realize they are being actively hunted. They catch glimpses of shadows tracking them through the tree line, witness a campfire mysteriously reigniting itself with freshly piled brushwood, and discover a horrifying photograph pinned to a cross depicting Troy at a recent campsite, with his eyes violently scratched out. Seeking answers, they contact a local historian named Robert Farnsworth, who drops a bombshell. A secretive generational cult has been systematically engineering these fatal accidents. Farnsworth explains that standard graveyards lack the transitional residual energy required to breach the physical world, but the exact ground where a sudden violent death occurs provides a volatile tear in reality. The roadside memorials are not just markers of grief, they are being systematically utilized by the cult as literal gateways to summon a malevolent cosmic force known as the Outsider. Section 5. The Final Sacrifice. The nightmare reaches its peak when the cult strikes directly, abducting Naomi to lure the remaining students to a sacred clearing hidden deep within the Sudbury woods. Arriving at the site, Billy, Troy, and Melody find themselves surrounded by hundreds of primitive stick-figure lattices encircling a blood-stained altar where Naomi is bound. Seemingly upstanding members of the local community emerge from the shadows dressed in robed hoods and masks made of sticks. In a staggering twist, the cult's mastermind is revealed to be their instructor, Professor Marcus Tyree. Tyree is actually Marcus Barksdale, a descendant of the area's original occult leaders and the unrecognized teammate from Uncle Frank's old high school photograph. Tyree and Uncle Frank were active participants in the Brotherhood, and Tyree himself engineered the crash that killed Billy's parents. As the cult chants in an ancient language, the atmosphere distorts, and a terrifying dark manifestation with glowing red eyes breaks through the gateway. Rather than empowering its worshippers, the entity unleashes a catastrophic supernatural firestorm. Cult members are incinerated alive, their skin melting away as they are consumed by the inferno. In the chaotic melee, Melody bravely fights back, but is tragically stabbed to death by Professor Tyree with a ceremonial dagger. Billy engages in a furious physical struggle with the professor, sending both of them crashing to the ground. The weight of their collapsing bodies drives Tyree's own dagger deep into his chest. Before dying, a wheezing Tyree confesses that he loved Uncle Frank like a brother and had tried to halt the escalating madness. Aftermath. The aftermath of Memorials is steeped in profound tragedy and enduring trauma. While Billy and Troy manage to rescue a severely wounded Aunt Helen from the burning clearing, the cost is devastating. Melody Wise is dead, her bright future extinguished. Naomi Flynn survives the physical ordeal, but is left profoundly psychologically shattered. The terror of that night fractures the remaining bond between the survivors. Consumed by trauma and guilt, Troy cuts off all communication, leaving Billy entirely estranged from his best friend. Aunt Helen physically recovers, but completely represses all memory of the occult violence, while the media files the catastrophe away under the sweeping umbrella of the 1980s satanic panic. The novel closes on a note of permanent vulnerability. Standing at Melody's grave, Billy leaves his father's silver crucifix upon her headstone as a final token of remembrance. Marked by the entity and permanently altered by the horrific truths he uncovered, Billy understands that the gateway remains cracked. The eyes in the dark are still watching, and for the survivors, the nightmare is never truly over. Thank you for listening to this analysis on the well-read Monocle. If you enjoyed this breakdown of Richard Chizmar's Memorials, please ensure you like the video and subscribe to the channel for more precise, professional literary summaries. Until next time, keep reading.